On this episode of the Dr. Eleanor Stein podcast, I have the privilege of talking with Hungarian PhD biochemist Dr. Gábor Somlyai. Dr. Somlyai is a pioneer in the field of deuterium, also called heavy hydrogen, how deuterium acts in our bodies, and specifically its role in cancer. He shares his most recent research, a retrospective of thousands of cases of people with cancer, showing that the people who took his deuterium depletion protocol increased their life expectancy from an average of 2.4 years to over 11 years. If you or someone you know is a cancer survivor and you'd like to learn more, please join me. Welcome to the Dr. Eleanor Stein podcast. In this show, you will hear expert medical professionals, researchers, and people with lived experience share science-based, low to no cost strategies to help people with complex chronic diseases. Listen in for another dose of education, empowerment, and hope. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Dr. Eleanor Stein podcast. In this episode, we veer a little bit outside our core topic area of ME, FM, and long COVID to learn more about one of the most important root causes of chronic disease, and one that you've probably never heard of. It's deuterium. Deuterium is a naturally occurring isotope of hydrogen, a tiny molecule which plays an outsized role in health and disease. My guest today is Dr. Gábor Somlyai, and maybe he can correct me on the pronunciation of his name. He's a leading He's a leading researcher in the connection between deuterium and cancer. Now, all of us in the complex chronic disease community have been touched by cancer, whether we have had it ourselves or we have friends or loved ones living with or who have succumbed to cancer. When I first heard some of Dr. Somlyai's podcast appearances, I couldn't believe that there was such a powerful cancer treatment out there that I hadn't heard of and, to the best of my knowledge, isn't being widely used. The impact of his protocols are so significant, I wondered if it was too good to be true. So I did what I always do. I read his book. It's called Deuterium Depletion, A New Way of Curing Cancer and Preserving Health. I read some of the supporting papers, and my assessment is that his approach has a lot of potential. Dr. Gábor Somlyai is a PhD molecular biologist. He's a pioneer and internationally recognized expert in the importance of naturally occurring deuterium and its biological and physiological effects. He has studied and worked in the USA, Germany, and Hungary. He's held a senior researcher position at the National Institute of Oncology in Hungary, examining the importance of naturally occurring deuterium in cancer. In 1993, he established a company for cancer research and drug development to conduct anti-cancer research based on the proprietary procedure of deuterium depletion. We're going to talk much more about that today. And his company is part of a larger consortium with other universities in Europe to investigate exactly how deuterium works and how deuterium-depleted water can impact our biochemistry, our genetics, and our physiology. Welcome, Dr. Somlyai. I am so thrilled that you accepted my invitation.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Can you kind of give us a little bit of background about yourself, your academic, what your training was, and especially how you got interested in deuterium?
We have to go back more than 50 years, and I was a teenager. Yeah. At that time, Albert Szent-Györgyi, one of the Hungarian Nobel laureate, visited Hungary, and he gave an interview. And he was thinking about the cancer because his wife died of cancer. And he was a very clever guy. And in that interview, he said that if you want to solve the cancer problem, you have to go sub-molecular level. So the word submolecular, which I keep in my mind. And he suggested that the reason of the cancer that there is some trouble in the electron transport. So he suggested that the electron should be that small particle which somehow cause cancer and finally leads to that disease. So I kept it in my mind that submolecule level, we must solve the cancer problem. And one day, and that was exactly in 1976, 21st of May, the idea came to my mind and then took a sheet of paper and wrote down that the hydrogen ion is a submolecular particle which has a key role in the cancer. So that was before I went to the university. And 4 years later at the university, the other idea came to my mind that there is a heavy hydrogen. It is called deuterium. And I don't know why and how, but I was pretty sure about that. The hydrogen, deuterium together are somehow responsible for the cancer and for cell growth regulation. So that was in 1980. I graduated in 1982, but I couldn't find job on cancer field. I continue my DNA work. So I work for the National Plant Protection Institute. My job was to find the genes in the bacteria which are responsible to recognize the bean, for example. So that type of work. I was a scholarship holder of the Hungary Academy of Sciences. I received my PhD in 1988, and then I went to Germany with another fellowship uh, at the Göttingen University. Then I was invited to the United States in Columbia, Missouri, and stayed there for a year. And when I came back in 1989, then I quit my job and started to find a job on the cancer field. And that is the way how I went to work for the nation into oncology. So
Wow.
from 1990, this is a 35 years of period till now. And this started at the Oncology Institute to investigate the possible role of the deuterium in the living organism. So this is how it started. And the very first paper we published in 1993, and that covered the work what I completed in the oncology. So the question was if in nature the ratio between the hydrogen and deuterium is 6,600 to 1. And that was ignored for 60 years because the deuterium was discovered in the early 30s. And everybody investigated the effect of the heavy water. So it was clear that just because the deuterium twice as heavy as the hydrogen, and it means that the deuterium behaves differently in chemical reaction, or the reaction is 10 times slower with deuterium than with hydrogen. And it was proved using the heavy water, so you can kill a dog with a 35% heavy water, and the plant will not grow if you're watering with heavy water. But
And how long has that been known? I'm just curious because
almost 100 years. Yeah,
wow.
so it
So
was
we've
discovered
known
in
this for
1931
100.
or 32. Yeah,
Wow. So we've
yeah,
known for 100 years that too much deuterium has negative impact on
yeah,
biology. Wow.
yeah. And I guess the reason that they ignored it because this 6,600 to 1, so people believe that maybe we can ignore it.
Right.
But if you see the D level in millimole, so when somebody go to the doctor and for a checkout, and the calcium level in the blood will be about 2.5 millimole. In the magnesium, about 1 millimole. But the deuterium is 12 millimole. So here's the
12.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So here's the deuterium in our body. The concentration 6 times higher than the calcium in the blood.
Wow.
And so we should check it out, whether it has any role in the living organism. So, and to prove that, the answer may be the easiest to get when we prepare deuterium-depleted water, and we use not heavy water, we use deuterium-depleted water. So I checked in a tissue culture, I followed the cell growth, and it was clear when I used not 150 ppm deconcentration, which is a normal, let's say. I used 30 ppm, so very depleted for deuterium, that inhibited the cell growth. But I also checked what will happen if I double the D level
Sorry,
or
did you say inhibited when you use the
inhibited.
deuterium?
It
Oh,
slows down and inhibited. Yeah,
oh,
the cell
okay.
grows.
Just want to make sure I heard. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when I used not 150 ppm, but 300 or 600 ppm, that stimulated the cell growth.
Got it.
So the idea was that, and this is what we wrote, the naturally occurring deuterium is essential to keep the normal growth rate. So when you reduce it, that can slow down or inhibit. But
Hmm.
if you above it, close to the natural level, that can stimulate the cell growth. And in that very first paper, we also published that we transplanted human breast cancer to mice. And one group of the mice consumed DW, the other group of mice consumed normal water. So in the treated arm, we saved the life 60% of the mice, which means we could kill the tumor in the mice, which had been
Wow.
transplanted with breast cancer. And and the question was, how can we explain this data? Because it
Hmm.
was so strange and so out of box. Everybody agreed in the 80s that when a growth hormone binds to the membrane, that will stimulate the sodium hydrogen antiport. It means that the cells pick up one sodium and transport one hydrogen. And that causes a pH increase, a very slight increase in the pH in the cell. And
So
everybody agreed.
sorry, just to slow down a minute for some of the listeners. So you're transporting the sodium into the cell and the hydrogen
And
out of the cell, and hydrogen is acidic, let's say. So now the inside of the cell is more alkaline.
yes,
Do
that's
I
it.
have that right? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And so it was accepted that this is somehow signal for the cell. But
Okay.
when but when they artificially increase the pH, that doesn't count. So
Hmm.
that did not stimulate the cell growth. So my uh, conclusion was when the growth hormone bind to the membrane, stimulate the sodium hydrogen antiport, that will prefer to eliminate the hydrogen, to transport the hydrogen.
Hmm.
It means cause a DH increase in the cell. And we
Okay. So
conclude,
it can move the hydrogen out, but it can't move the deuterium
yeah,
out.
it is
Got it.
picky. So picky,
Yeah.
catch the hydrogen, transport it. So we concluded that the higher DH ratio responsible to initiate the cell growth.
Wow.
This is a signal. Uh, but moving forward, Albert Szent also said in that report that you cannot regulate the cell growth with one light. You need a green light and you need a red light. And,
Hmm.
and the red light is in the mitochondria. So you need something which can control it and stop it. You need something which can trigger the cell growth. And where is the red light? How can inhibit and keep on control the cell growth? So this is in the mitochondria because everybody every day synthesize about zero point 0.3 liter deuterium depleted metabolic water. It means when we eat the food and the mitochondria burn the food to carbon dioxide and metabolic water, this is deuterium depleted. And
Okay.
we generate the ATP. So this is how we can get the energy from the food. And the question is, what is the deconcentration of the different food? So I went to the shop, we bought sugar, uh, cottage, salt, bacon, and we test these different kind of food. And the point was that the carbohydrate produce 150 ppm, the concentration of the metabolic water, but the fat produce 108 or 118 ppm, which means the mitochondria, the more fat are burned in the mitochondria, the lower will be the deconcentration of the metabolic water.
And
It means
why is metabolic water so important? Maybe explain to people what it is and the role it plays in the body.
uh, so. So first of all, this is the byproducts of the energy production. It's because in that case, the hydrogen on the metabolic water is coming from the carbon on the carbohydrate, on the lipids, or on the amino acids. But to keep the control in the cell, it is important because in a healthy cells, there is a balance. The membrane transport is going to increase the DH ratio, but in the healthy cells, the healthy mitochondria are producing deuterium-depleted metabolic water, so they are balanced. And the other well-known fact, almost 100 years, that there is one common feature in each cancer cells, the damaged mitochondria. So in the mitochondria are not able to produce deuterium-depleted metabolic water.
In cancer cells. And why
In the
is that?
cancer
Can you
cells.
explain that a little bit more?
No, I would say this is the reason that this is a cancer. So
Okay.
this is a long process, takes years.
Yeah.
There is some damage in the genome. There is some changes in the metabolism because the food slowly, because the aging, something is not going as well as it was 30, 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the mitochondria is losing the capacity, losing the efficacy, and are not able to produce the deuterium-depleted water. And that gives a chance for the cell easily lift up the DH ratio to the threshold, and then that cell will multiply.
So it erases because in an aging mitochondria, the
Or
cell
because a mutation in the
yeah,
mitochondria.
can't get rid of the deuterium, and so it rises and becomes that signal to say to the cell, okay, grow and multiply, have lots of babies, and that makes cancer.
So, for example, there is one single mutation in the TCA cycle
Okay.
that can lead to cancer.
Yeah.
So no TCA cycle, no metabolic water production, and that cell can be cancerous. And because from that point, no break in the system. If the membrane transport is getting active, they can generate a higher DH ratio, and that will trigger the cell growth. And the other paper we just recently published, whether the question is whether the deuterium level can interact and modify the gene expression.
Wow.
Because we know hundreds of genes has a key role in the tumor development and has a key role in the cell growth regulation. And the big program today that the pharma, and we are aware of how complex is the system, and we know it. We know the signal system, how many proteins and interaction is important and working on to manage a cell division. But the drug development is targeting one gene, one protein, one signal system. And the reason is that no any real breakthrough because it's so complex. So we checked whether modifying the DH ratio, we can modify the gene expression. So we tested over 200 cancer-related genes and over 500 kinase genes, which has a key role in the regulation. And in the test system, we agreed that we will evaluate only those genes when the changes in the expression is bigger than 30%.
Okay.
And in that technology is good to count one by one how many copy of messenger RNA was synthesized from one single gene. So it's an excellent
Wow.
technology. Excellent technology. So and we agree that we will evaluate those cells where the copy number for one single gene is more than 30. So at least 30 messenger RNA was synthesized. So finally, we evaluated 126 cancer-related genes and 135 kinase gene. And the point is, and we tested the cells in deuterium-depleted media, 80 and 40 ppm, 150 ppm as normal, and 300 ppm as a deuterium-enriched media. And the point is that 99 percent of the cells responded to the higher D concentration, which means when the cells recognize the DA ratio is getting higher, that simultaneously will turn on hundreds of genes. And
Wow.
that genes are necessary to manage the cell growth. And when we are applying deuterium-depleted water, we bring the break in the system because the people drinking deuterium-depleted water, day by day reducing the deconcentration. And this is a very big challenge for the cells to manage it because each molecular process and biochemical steps are modified when the D level is changing. And they have to harmonize all the biochemical processes to the changing D concentration. And what we see that the healthy cells can manage it because they are healthy. And the tumor cells cannot do it, or it takes longer time to manage it. But this is the reason that we can save and do not cause any toxic effect with the healthy cells, but we can kill the cancer cells by that way. So finally, that the lowering the level generate radicals, and that radicals hopefully enough to trigger the apoptosis and cause the tumor necrosis.
And
So
do they produce radicals because with a lower D level, the mitochondria are functioning better and producing more free radicals?
when in a cancer, no,
Okay.
when we lowering the D level, even the healthy cells can trigger higher radicals. But that immediately will turn on the superoxide dismutase and all the system which
Okay.
try to
But
eliminate the
why
radicals.
why are there more radicals when you lower the D level?
Because they have to handle it. So we disturb finally the
Oh,
whole
okay.
metabolism by the lowering D level. And so we disturb the healthy cells,
Yeah.
but hopefully they can manage it. But the cancer cells hopefully cannot manage it. So that radical, the triggering radicals is more effective in the cancer cells because the whole metabolism is different and they are not easily can handle it. And the reason we believe there is one reason that
Mhm.
Professor Zubarev from the Karolinska Institute published a paper and proved that the deuterium depletion trigger radicals, and that has a very
Okay.
strong anti-cancer effect. But the other reason that we can say that following thousands of patients who consume DW, sometimes I didn't understand why we do not see the good effect. And
Okay.
talking with these people, after a while, it turned out those who are taking too much antioxidant,
Mm.
vitamin C, E, A, they can prevent the efficacy of DW because finally these people help the cancer cells to catch the radicals, so we cannot reach the threshold which should have enough to trigger the apoptosis. So this is
Go ahead.
the basic mechanism we say today.
I was just going to say that's so interesting because I'm sure many, if not most, cancer patients either take antioxidant supplements because they think it's going to be beneficial, or they eat lots and lots of fruits and
Yeah,
vegetables to try to increase their antioxidant capacity.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so there were, yeah, that was a concept that taking antioxidant because
Mm,
you can prevent the damage of the DNA and that can help to reduce the incidence. Unfortunately, the incidence of cancer is increasing, uh, and even combining the antioxidant with radicals, that also can diminish and reduce the efficacy of the radiotherapy because the radiotherapy trigger radicals and that help to eliminate the cancers. Yeah, it's not easy to find the right way, the right dose, uh, which is more beneficial for the people and not help the cancer. So
so
we
let
say
me,
don't take any antioxidant, extra
right.
antioxidant.
I'm going to go a little bit sideways for a minute because it's something as you were talking, I went. So I've just been, as you know, we had a talk by Dr. Borosh, and it was great talk, and he talked about how deuterium blocks the mitochondria nanomotors and basically breaks them and prevents the cell from making as much energy. And so I'm trying to think of, okay, in that way, deuterium is blocking metabolism. And then you're saying in cancer cells, deuterium promotes growth. So to the average person, that's going to sound almost like the opposite. Like they would think you would need a lot of energy production to grow cells. And I think, because I've been puzzling on this for a while, cancer not being my, excuse me, my main area of expertise, that in cancer cells, they work by something called Warburg metabolism, right? They're um, the oxidative phosphorylation is basically turned off, and they're using glycolysis, and they're
Yes.
producing less energy. And
Yeah.
I've always not quite understood why that enables them to grow more. And I think it's because they're using the citric acid cycle intermediates to grow structural components for more cells. Is that
Mhm.
correct?
So I would say that one, yes. So the deuterium, all the chemical reaction is 10 times slower with deuterium than hydrogen.
Right.
And for example, in the ATPase, when the ATP is synthesized, when so it's running by the hydrogen flow,
Hmm.
and hydrogen, deuterium. So that deuterium will bind and take a longer time binding to the uh, amino acid. But then it's hopefully will continue, and that can reduce the speed of the ATPase. So
Hmm.
it's pretty sure that that can and that influence the ATPase synthesis. But the main reason I think that uh, used to the people ate much more fat, so the calorie intake was covered by more fat and less carbohydrate.
Okay.
It means that the average D level of the population was somewhat lower than it is today because it is said that you should cover the calorie intake 60% by carbohydrate. So we
Yeah.
checked the people D concentration in the blood. It was 147, 150 ppm.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure my grandfather had about 135, 138 ppm because he was eating bacon, much more bacon, and
Yeah.
he wasn't fat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one reason that the mitochondria is meeting much more deuterium today than it
Got it.
was long ago.
And so that's
And
breaking the mitochondria and then pushing the cells into more into glycolysis.
yeah,
And that's a
yeah,
cancer promoting
yeah, yeah,
shift.
yeah, that can lead, for example, that the efficacy of mitochondria is not as good as it was, and slowly is getting and losing their capacity. And when it's out of order, the
Yeah.
mitochondria, then on a cell growth regulation, the membrane transport will dominate, triggering the sodium hydrogen exchanger, and that can lead to higher DH, and after that the cell will multiply.
And is it true that deuterium is more prevalent in the atmosphere than before, or it's the same in the in on the Earth, but it's just that we're eating different foods, so it's higher in us?
Uh, the ocean at the equatorial area contains 155 ppm,
Okay.
and when the clouds appear and moving to the poles, soon the heavier water drop out easier. So there's a
Oh,
change
I get
depending
it.
on where
Thank
you are.
you. I have not
So,
understood that. Thank you for
yeah.
explaining that. Yeah,
So you are in close to Edmonton, for example. You are
correct. Yeah.
very far from the ocean and relatively far from the equator. In your region, the D level should be below 140 ppm. If
Wow.
you go up on the hill, it also can reduce the D level. So these are changes and modify the D level depending on where you are. In the Caucasian, the D level was 140 ppm. It was pretty high level altitude and far from the ocean. And of course, the food D level is different because there are three different chemical pathways to fix the carbon dioxide from the air, and
Okay.
that can modify the D level of the plant.
Hmm.
The pea, the wheat, uh, has more depleted carbohydrate than the corn, just
Really? So
because
wheat is a little bit better than corn
lower
from a
than the
deuterium standpoint.
yeah than the corn.
Ah,
And if you eat ananas, that even can enrich the deuterium, because this is a third type of biochemical pathway to fix the carbon dioxide.
okay.
So it's yeah. So it depends on a lot of things. Finally, what is the deconcentration of a given people?
So maybe can you, just to go back a step before we start talking about food and how to lower deuterium, and talk a little bit more about what you found in actual patients. So I think you're not a medical doctor, you're a
Yeah.
PhD, but you work with doctors and who are seeing patients, and then you've studied the results. Yes?
I would say I talking with cancer patients, and
Oh,
there are
okay.
all the cancer patients behind all of them. There are doctors,
Right.
and some of them knows that the people consuming DW. Some of them support them, and
Hmm.
maybe some of them do not support uh,
Right.
taking DW. So this is a long evolution. Hopefully, one day everybody will support the
Can you
DW.
maybe share some cases since you know the patients personally of, who you met, they wanted to try DDW,
Okay.
which stands for deuterium depleted water, just for so everyone knows
Okay.
what we're talking about and kind of what you've observed.
Okay. So today I received a
Hmm.
PET CT from a lady who was diagnosed roughly 20, more than 20 years ago with breast cancer.
Okay.
And when she was diagnosed, she already had a bone metastasis.
Wow. So she was already stage 4.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
at that time. And r- she was operated, she received conventional therapy, and at the same time, she started to consuming DW.
Hmm.
And I don't know the exact, so she maybe consumed it for more than 1 or 2 years continuously. And then we had a short break. And then she started to consume again. And that was for 4, 5, 10 years. And
Okay.
after a while, she made a long break. She didn't consume DW for 1.5 year. And then they checked the bone metastasis, and they found that there was a 1 millimeter increase in the size of the bone metastasis.
Mm-hmm.
And And the doctors didn't believe that this is a bone metastasis because 10 years has passed
Right.
since
She
the
should be dead.
diagnosis.
Yeah.
I told them that this is a metastasis of the breast cancer. And the lady said, okay, whatever, take a biopsy. They took a biopsy, and it was true that was a bone metastasis. So she started to consume again DW. And then there was another 5 years, and she was fine. And maybe that was used by radiotherapy.
Hmm.
And then it was in 2023. She was consuming DW, but we saw the progression of the disease. So
You
at that
saw
time,
it. She was
yeah,
progressing even though she was
yeah,
on
yeah,
the
yeah,
deuterium depletion.
yeah.
Okay.
So at that time I said, okay, stop drinking, go back. And she received again conventional therapy. And she was fine. And the data what I received today, that was a PET CT and receiving the conventional therapy plus in the last 4 months, she consumed again DW,
Hmm.
85 ppm and 65. No, there is an improvement again and showed a regression of the disease. So we
Wow.
have, it's over 25 years, 20 years. And this is how we managed it. Uh, One of our last paper, the last paper we published, we evaluated 2,649 cancer patients. And the question was, what are the key parameters which is important to maximize the efficacy of DW?
Okay.
And and based upon how so this is a huge database, the cumulative follow-up time almost 10,000 years, and
Wow.
we followed thousands of people, really 1, 2, 5, 10, 20 years. So there were three main conclusions. We can have extremely good results if the patient start within 9 months drinking DW after the diagnosis. The reason is that we had so so the good news, people receive a diagnosed with cancer, they can be operated, they can be tumor free, and everybody is happy.
Mm.
But it doesn't mean that the game is over because there's a big chance that the tumor will come back.
Right.
According to the conventional therapy, people can take uh, hormone therapy or for a limited time chemotherapy, but after that, everybody is waiting, going back to the control and hoping that will not recurrence.
Hmm.
So we recommend for patients who are tumor free, consume DW for 4 or 5 months, have a break, consume again, have a longer break, and repeated it for several years. And that way we can prevent the relapse. So those who are coming to us 9 months after the diagnosis, these are typically relapsed people. The tumor appeared again. So must so they should start it within 9 months. The other important point we found, we need about 3 to 9 months life expectancy. So we
Wow.
cannot
Okay.
cannot turn back it within an overnight.
Got it.
Those who the time is very limited, less than 3 or 4 months, maybe we can extend the life, but we cannot get a real breakthrough. This is the second one. Then the third one, to
And
see.
sorry to interrupt, would that be because it just takes time? Like you drink the deuterium depleted water and it just slowly over a few months changes
And
the deuterium level in the body?
and no, the other reason is that that time the tumor mass is too big.
Oh,
So
okay.
if somebody's in a late stage
Right.
and maybe after several years and too big metastasis in bone, liver, lung,
Okay.
it takes too big mass of cancer.
Yeah.
And the other, so the people should consume minimum 3 to 4 months. I wouldn't say this is enough to be a tumor free, but after 3 or 4 months, must see a clear evidence of the efficacy of DW. And then,
Okay.
depending on the staging and type of cancer, of course, need to continue and keep the DW and the deuterium depletion a very long time. But this is a minimum time period. And this is very important because there are so many alternative therapy. And unfortunately, people starting to do something, and after 2, 3 months, they change for another one, and
Right.
for
Because
another one, and the
they
other
don't
one,
see a result fast enough.
and do not wait for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
There were 3 points. I think you said one, start within 9 months.
yeah.
Um, Second one was,
Need a 3, 4 months life expectancy,
yeah. Oh, and what
and
was the third?
uh, at least need to consume for 3, 4 months
Oh, okay.
to see the efficacy of DW. These are
So
these.
I have a question. I read your book and you talk about kind of this pulsed therapy, and I'm wondering if you think that's better than just taking it all the time.
But yeah, there are two reasons we recommend. The main reason is that I say this is the most effective because if the cancer cells recognize that not enough deuterium, they are going to sleep. They are staying. They are not going to multiply. So
Okay.
they are going to survive, and they slowly
Oh,
can adapt to the low deconcentration.
got it.
So and it means after a while maybe they can grow again, but when we have a break and the cells, okay, there is enough D level, and they came out from that resistant phase,
Yeah,
and the next consumption of DW hopefully can kill them. The
right.
other is a financial part. So we do not want people to spend money if it is not necessary. So
Okay.
and this is the other reason, which is very important, unfortunately, because people have to buy it, that minimize the cost because they need it for a long time, for several years to invest to that therapy.
Okay, that makes sense. Um, oh, I had another question in my mind, but it flew out. I'm wondering, there was one example in your book you talked about people with brain cancer, and brain cancer is usually so fast growing and has such a
Mhm.
bad prognosis. I'm wondering if you can say a little bit about your experience with different types of brain cancer.
We just published a paper with glioblastoma. So this is the
Okay.
worst type of cancer. We evaluated 55 cancer patients diagnosed with glioblastoma. Typically, the median survival time, which means uh, what is the time frame within we lost the 50% of the population, is 12, 14 months with glioblastoma.
Wow.
So if we do not uh, made any selection, our median survival time for the 55 patients was 30 months. So roughly we doubled the median
Wow.
survival time. But when we separated the patients, those who were so lucky that came to us just in time and they could consume DW together with radiotherapy,
Mhm.
then the median survival time was 47 months. So that was
Wow.
over a threefold increase. And this is the other very important message that we are going to integrate deuterium depletion into the therapy. And there is very, very good combination with radiotherapy, surgery, hormone therapy, targeted therapy. And we have to use out that type of combination to maximize the efficacy of DW.
That's a really important message because so many proponents of alternate, I'll call this an alternative therapy because it's not yet in the
Yes.
mainstream, not
Yeah.
to criticize it in any way, but many proponents say, don't go for your conventional therapy. It's bad, it's going to kill you, it's toxic, and come do our therapy instead. And that message
No.
is really clear in your book. And every time I hear you, you're saying, no, combining is actually synergistic and you're going to get an even better effect.
Yeah, so when we published that paper with that over 2,000 patients, and based upon that parameter, so our conclusion is that we can reduce the cancer mortality by 80%, but we do not say we can cure everybody.
Right.
And to leave out or do not use up any other therapies, it's a big mistake. It's
Wow.
a big mistake. And the
80.
other that
Mhm.
we can reach that reduction in the cancer mortality in the combination with the existing therapy.
Right, right. 80%. What does that mean? You reduce mortality by 80%. Like that
Yeah.
just sounds
I, I
huge. So just
yeah, I
what
know.
does that mean
The
exactly? Yeah.
the number, for example, if we check the Hungarian cancer population, we in Hungary there are over 70%, 70 new cancer cases every year, and we lost about 33,000.
There's
And
70,000 new cases.
70,000
Yeah,
new
okay.
cases, and
Yeah.
we lost 33 deaths.
So about
Uh,
half.
yeah, yeah. Uh, and we can evaluate that roughly the median survival time of the Hungarian cancer population is 2.4 years.
Mhm.
That's somewhat higher in United States, maybe it's 3 years or 2.8 years. But typically 40% of the newly diagnosed cancer we lost every year. So this is the ratio. The median survival time for the whole population is between 2, 3, 2.4, 3 years. So, but in our population, so thousands of people who started within 8 months, within 9 months, they had over 4 months life expectancy, consumed longer than 4 months. Then
Mhm.
the median survival time was 11.6 years. So, and
Wow.
from that number, we can calculate that we can reduce with 80% the
I
cancer
understand.
mortality.
So each year, 80% fewer people of that cohort are going to
Yeah,
pass away from their
yeah, yeah,
cancer.
yeah.
Wow. Can you, I can hear people listening thinking, oh, I have this type of
Well,
cancer, or my husband has that type of cancer. Can you say anything about, I know not all types of cancer respond equally. Which are the ones where maybe people should consider
yeah.
deuterium depletion, and which are the types where maybe it's not as effective?
Uh, Luckily, the list of the not so good responding is shorter. So
Okay.
we don't like the pancreatic cancer, the glioblastoma, and the melanoma. So these
Okay.
we
Interesting.
consider the three worst type of cancer. Very aggressive, very easily give metastasis, very fast recurrency. So in that case, we can get a 3 to 4 fold increase in median survival time. But if we can integrate in the right time the DW, we can get even better results. The good news is that breast cancer, lung cancer, colon cancer, colorectal cancer, and I would say most of them responding quite well to deuterium depletion,
Including prostate.
including prostate. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
We are very good in prostate cancer. Yeah. So
That's so, I mean, I get really, when I read your book, I was like, why is this not more widely known? Do you have any thoughts about, like, you've been working away, building, slowly publishing papers, building the body of literature to show that this is at least worth considering. Why do you think it's not caught on?
yeah, it's so we have to change we are changing the paradigm, and
Hmm.
to change the paradigm is never easy.
Slow. Yeah.
Never easy. Yeah. So I know that those who want to change the paradigm, they have to start when they are very young. And if
Yes,
they are
which
lucky,
you
they can
did,
see
which
the
you
end of
did.
the story.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, yeah, so I didn't believe that it will take so long time. And even we have not completed the job. But the good news is that there are so many other scientists who is getting involved in the research of deuterium depletion and in that area. So uh, people go to the PubMed and
Hmm.
searching for deuterium depleted water, they can see that over 200 papers appeared in the last
Okay.
20 years. And it's
Okay.
increasing, so exponentially increasing the number.
Yeah.
So I am very pleased that will one day get a
Move.
breakthrough in
Yeah.
the therapy. The big difficulties for us that we are a company, we dedicated ourselves to register a cancer drug. To register a cancer drug, it takes about $1 to $2 billion, and unfortunately, we do not have that type of funds. So
Wow.
we generated quite a big money selling deuterium-depleted water, and we invested all the revenue into the
Hmm.
research and drug development. And we are seeking for investors. We are uh, looking for pharma companies to collaborate and to go to the new clinical trials and register it as a cancer drug.
Okay.
And I hope that we are very close to find a new investor, and then we can get a new clinical trials.
And how could people, so say someone is saying, "Oh, I would love to support this in some way." How would they reach you?
If they searching for my name, they can find the company. So our company name is HYD
HYD. Okay.
LLC. The product is Preventa, which
Hmm.
is available. Uh, we are on the internet.
Okay.
Everybody can find it. I'm pretty sure. There are several other deuterium depleted water
Hmm.
because it's good news, of course, because uh, everybody feel the business inside, of course. So
Yeah.
that generate and other companies is going to produce and sell. The only difference between them and us that nobody is going to run and invest money to clinical trials. On the
Right.
other hand, I am not going to give up. This is the only way to get access everybody to the deuterium depleted water. If
Right.
we cannot get the approval, then never will be part of the oncotherapy. So we must complete the drug registration. And this is
Okay.
the reason we are working on.
So I went to I'm going to ask you also, my last question is going to be all about the protocols, like exactly, what you recommend people do. So when I first read your book, I went to your website and I tried to order Preventa and it wouldn't work. Like I clicked to order and nothing happened. And then I sent a message and I didn't hear back. So do you know if there's some issues with your website or
Uh, there are one website in the United States which is
yes,
out
this
of
was
the
the
work.
US one.
Yeah, this is the out of the work, so it doesn't work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that
Okay.
was used to we had a partner. We don't know where
Okay.
is he now,
Okay.
and unfortunately, this is bad news for us because the people believe that uh, uh, we do not respond. So the
Right.
preventa.hu is which is a Hungarian website.
Got it.
Uh,
Okay.
we try to manage all the orders from different parts of the world.
Okay. So that was going to be my next question is maybe if you could talk about, say someone's listening and they really want to try it. So you've now answered the first part, preventa8.hu to reach you or your
Yeah,
company. And
yeah.
then what product do you take? How much do you take? How often do you take? All those details.
So let's say let's make two groups: healthy
Okay.
people and cancer patients.
Okay.
So if somebody healthy people and they would like to reduce the incidence of cancer or just going to feel better, they should consume 125 ppm or 105 ppm for three,
Okay.
4 months, and then they can stop drinking, and maybe a year later they can come back. For cancer patients, again, we can make two groups. Those who are in remission, so they were treated and tumor-free now. They should follow what I mentioned earlier by 105 2 months, 85 2 months, and then they have a break. And
Okay.
at the first couple of years, they have a 3, 4 months break and then increase from 6, 8 months break, and then 1 year they can repeat. And those who still have a cancer, it's very complicated depending on cancer,
Yeah.
conventional therapy, staging. Typically, who are not in a stage 3, 4, they in a stage 1, 2, they can start with a 105. So they can combine chemotherapy with 105. That way, we enhance the efficacy of chemotherapy and a little bit can prevent the toxic effect of chemotherapy. And when they finish the chemotherapy, they can turn on and continue with 85 ppm. And
Okay.
after 3, 4 months, 2, 3 months, continue with 65 ppm.
Oh, wow.
After,
Okay.
go to 25 ppm. And
Wow.
hopefully one day they can be tumor free. And then
And
they have
how much water of these varying concentrations? I know on your website you sell
yeah,
all the different strengths, let's say,
the,
and the
the,
lower the number, the higher the strength for people listening.
uh, so the, the products from 125 ppm, we go down to 25 ppm. These
Okay.
are the products. And everybody have to replace all the daily water intake with DW. So
Oh, every
yeah,
water. Okay,
yeah,
so it's not just a small amount.
no, because the cancer cells should feel that only there is a decrease in the D level.
Right.
Those who changing normal and DW, they just give the time to the cancer cells to adapt. If no continuous decrease in the D level, which finally after a couple of weeks
Got it.
reach the level and trigger so much radicals that kill the cells, then we lost the efficacy of DW.
So, question, some other companies sell even lower concentrations, like
I
5 or
know,
10 ppm.
I
So,
know.
from what I'm hearing you say, that would be not as good because obviously that's far too little. You can't drink that for your entire water intake. And
Yeah,
so you have to drink a lot of regular water. So you would say better to take a less strong uh,
yeah,
water to use. I don't know if that's the correct terminology, a less depleted water, but use it for all of your intake.
yes, exactly. Correct.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
sure,
really
sure.
helpful. And can you talk about other lifestyle strategies that help our bodies get rid of deuterium? Like, not everyone can afford the water. It's probably very expensive to ship from Hungary, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I know. So, the reason, of course, changing the diet. So the
Right.
ketogenic diet would be the simplest way. I never say people uh, keep a strict ketogenic diet. I say ketogenic type diet. So
Right.
everybody should find those ratio between the carbohydrate and fat, which sustainable for a long period. For long period, uh,
Mhm.
it's so it's not easy, but that way they can reduce to 100 140 ppm, I suppose, the
Okay.
concentration. I counted, so if the calorie intake and the lipid intake is 80-20% or 20-80%, cause 20 ppm differences in the metabolic water. So,
Okay, let me just make sure I got that. So a kind of traditional keto diet, you're getting 80% of your calories from fat and
yes,
20% from mostly protein and maybe a little tiny bit of carbohydrate.
yeah.
And you're saying that kind of diet could lower your deuterium level by 20.
No,
So,
the
oh,
metabolic water D level will be lower with 20 ppm. So if the calorie intake 80% with carbohydrate, that will be 144.
yeah,
And with changing 80% of the fat, that should be 124.
got it. So it can
It
go
will
down by
not
about
cause,
20.
it will
Wow,
not cause
okay.
20 ppm decrease in the whole body, but the metabolic water will be lower with 20 ppm.
Which will be reflected in the serum.
Yeah, yeah. Finally,
So
that's
is there a way to measure? Sorry, I
yeah.
totally forgot to ask that. Say again, someone listening is like, gosh, I want maybe they've been on keto and they're like really curious now what their deuterium
Yeah.
level is.
Yeah, we developed a small device uh, that takes so we suggest to put some water in one part of this. I show you. I have it.
Okay, great.
So this is the device.
Okay.
Can you see? Okay. I take it here. Here is, we put some water, this part. Okay. Then we put it here and put together. And we bring it to the minus 18 Celsius. Okay. Wait for overnight.
Yeah.
Then exhale this way. And here there is a wire. So here we
Oh,
precipitate
okay.
the exhaled water, and
Mm-hmm.
here we can collect the water which coming from the lung.
Yeah.
And
So it's a
one
breath
cube
test,
centimeter
really.
is enough, and we can measure it. Yeah,
And
yeah.
may I ask how much the test is?
Uh, I suppose it's 130 euros.
Euros.
We
Okay.
if somebody order it.
And we could order it, like that would be easier to ship from Hungary, so we could order that from your company.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, we published the paper also, so we followed the D level, how it's changed, and it's very, very sensitive. So within 1 day, we can measure 1, 2 ppm decrease when
Wow.
changing the concentration of the water. When somebody stop drinking DW, next day immediately the D level is increasing because they consuming
Wow.
normal water and normal food. So
Okay, this is so interesting.
yeah.
Oh,
So
I have another question. So, are there any side effects? So, one of the side effects I'm curious about, many people who are listening to this in the complex chronic disease community are hypermobile, meaning their connective tissue is and tendons and ligaments are not as strong as they should be, and they're always getting injured, for example, and have
mhm,
pain. So, given that we didn't cover it, but deuterium helps strengthen bonds and makes connective tissue strong, is there any
mhm.
risk that in someone who already has weak connective tissue, taking deuterium would make it even weaker?
So far we did not have any. So
Okay.
the people feel the effect of DW when they have cancer,
Yeah.
and the cancer necrotize. So all the symptoms what we have found is relating to the necrotizing cancer.
Hmm.
The other reason, when we tested the DW with athletes,
Hmm.
uh, and we could prove that, which is evidence that the lower D level helped the mitochondria. So the
Hmm.
lactic acid appeared later in the blood after the loading test,
Okay.
which
So it helped
could be a signal
performance.
that, yeah, which could be a signal that the mitochondria is with that 150 or 100, yeah, 150 ppm is not the optimal D level of the mitochondria.
Right.
It should be a lower one.
So on that same topic, again, most of the people listening to this are going to have chronic fatigue of some type.
They can
And
try it.
yeah. And what kind of protocol would you suggest? So again, they're maybe not trying to prevent cancer. Would someone like that who wants to increase energy, um, what ppm of deuterium depleted water would you recommend? Again, would you use it for all of your water? And then should you take it all the time? Because the fatigue doesn't go away. It's not like cancer
Mhm.
where you can kind of maybe push it down and
Uh-huh.
then be okay.
If somebody get that type of problems, I suggest drink 105 for 2 months. And I
Okay.
think they feel better, and then they can go back to 125. And
Okay.
and I can keep that uh, so not so depleted one. As I say it again, because the financial part of the of that therapy. So with 105, within 2 months, they can reach the
Yeah.
equilibrium, will not
Yeah.
be lower,
Yeah.
and then they can figure out where is the optimal day level to keep it.
Oh, so I have a thought. So, because I have a big, I have a big load of like very deuterium depleted water at home, and I'm thinking maybe I could dilute it with regular water to create the equivalent
Yes.
of what you're recommending, the 105 and then the 125, and then use it for all of my intake.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
sounds
This
like
is
that I could do at home, right?
Yeah, sure, sure. So sometimes people from Australia, we have a distributor in
Right.
Australia. They the distributor buy the 25 ppm, and we have a protocol how the people can mix it to get the given the concentration. Yes.
And you don't have a distributor at the moment in North America, is that right?
Unfortunately not. Unfortunately
Okay.
not.
Uh,
So we are very open to negotiate about this.
so you'd
So
love to hear from somebody.
yeah, it's very important. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Is there anything else? I feel like you've just given us so much information, me personally, because it's something
No.
I'm wanting to try for myself, and now I have more guidance.
Yeah, I would say one important thing. So uh, I was very suppressed. I was very surprised
Hmm.
when a cancer patient came to me with diabetes, and he said
Okay.
that his blood sugar level reduced, and I was very skeptical
With this
because
deuterium
yeah, because
depletion.
so he was consuming because the cancer, the DW, and
Right.
this is what he found. So we tested at the university whether the diabetic rat blood sugar level is changing when we use
Hmm.
deuterium depleted water. And the very important finding was that first we tested the 25 ppm. And if the rat did not receive insulin, it doesn't count whether they consumed the 25. But when
Okay.
the rat received insulin plus consumed 25 ppm, the blood sugar level was significantly lower. And then we tested 105, 75, 125, and after changing by 5 ppm, and the point was that the lowest the blood sugar level was between 125 and 140 ppm. So
Oh,
not the
interesting. So
lowest,
not super low.
yeah. And
Lower's
the
not
reason is,
necessarily better.
yeah. And the reason is that the signal system is sharpest at that range, so that during the
Right.
evolution, the cell
Right.
can modify with 20, 30 ppm up and down, and all the enzymes and all the system is sensitive in that range.
That makes
And this
total
is very
sense.
important. Yeah, and this is very, very important that, and this is the reason I say that the whole population is living at 147, 150 ppm. We
Yes.
must bring it down below 140 ppm, and all the metabolism will be better, and the blood sugar level will be reduced, the blood pressure will be reduced, the insulin resistance will be reduced. So we had a clinical study with 30 diabetic patients, and we could prove that reduce the fasting glucose level and 30% of the population reduce the insulin resistance.
Wow.
Because we reduced it 133 ppm, the deuterium level in the blood.
And sorry, you reduced it to, they were using the 125,
No, they use 105 for 90
105.
days. For
Okay.
90 days. This paper also published. So if people go to the
Yeah.
hyd.hu website, this is the scientific part of the company.
Okay.
This is the website where we cannot say anything about the product
Right.
because
Just
we
the
are not allowed
science.
to say. And on
Okay.
the Preventa website, they do not see anything about the science
I understand.
because this is not allowed to, to appear at the same page.
So you don't have to answer this question. I'm just kind of provocatively putting it out there. But people could use deuterium depleted water for their metabolic health without the side effects of the GLP-1 agonists.
I hope so.
Yeah, it seems like it would be safer.
Uh, I never leave out the doctors
Right. Of
because
course. Of course.
they
Of
need. I
course.
always say, don't believe me, just check it out.
Yeah.
I, I am not going to convince the people one by one. The From the very first uh, uh, moment, we always share the data. It is published. If we have some new data, we publish it. So it is available. Everybody
Public.
can get it and see it. Everybody can control it. They can repeat it to see whether it's true or not.
And sorry, one last personal question, because I'm trying to figure out what to do for myself. You said the ideal deuterium level in the body is less than 140. Would you say, I think I'm hearing you say too low is also not good. So what
Yes.
would you say would be the ideal range? 130 to 140?
Below 140, 140, I would say that's okay.
Good enough. Okay.
Good enough. It's
Helpful.
yeah.
Thank you.
And always good to make some temporary even decrease in the D level just to eliminate those small group of
Right.
cells which should be a cancer 4 years later.
Right. So for 3 to 4 months a year, take it a little bit lower. The rest
Yeah.
of the year under 140
Yeah.
should be good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And yeah.
This was
So
so interesting and personally useful. I'm loving the, talking to people who have so
thank
much expertise. And I just want
thank
to
you.
say thank you for your work and for, sticking with it for all these years. And I really get the sense things are really starting to, people are awareness about deuterium is like if I'm aware of it, because I only heard about it a year ago. I had never heard of it
Mhm.
before. And I'm
I
a
know.
doctor, went to medical school. It was never mentioned.
Yeah.
So I think it's coming into the public awareness.
I guess a new generation will hear about at the university. We keep trying to sharing and a big thank you for you because you are helping us and helping everybody to get access to that type of information. And I appreciate all the other scientists and MDs who asking me talking about deuterium depletion. So one day I hope we
Yeah.
get the breakthrough.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, and I'm sure it's going to start some discussion in this community. And I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of
Right.
questions, which I may forward to you.
Okay, I'm very happy to have you.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining me on the Dr. Eleanor Stein podcast. I hope you are taking away new strategies and ideas to improve your health and a renewed sense of hope. Join me, Dr. Eleanor Stein, for our next episode. Can't wait? Check out my website for a wealth of free resources.